In the Wild West world of podcasting, there is one podcast that is authentic and genuine and continues to stand tall in its originality. Based on a passion for his guests, their work, and his love of podcasting, Derek Thomas and Monday Morning Critic Podcast get amazing, diverse, unique guests found nowhere else. They include Hall of Fame athletes, Academy Award winners, Golden Globe winners, Super Bowl champions, Emmy winners, award-winning authors, award-winning film score composers, directors, trailblazers, pioneers, and inventors. The variety and quality are endless. There is something for everyone. Derek Thomas is the hero you deserve. He's a silent guardian, a watchful protector. Welcome to Monday Morning Critic Podcast. Here is Derek Thomas.
And forward from Croatia, 6'11", number 40, Dino Radja. The other
Rađja underneath.
Nice look by Rick Fox.
Dino working on Dale Davis. Buries the turnaround. Oh, the follow, no. Smits can't keep it alive. Punched by David Wesley. Saved by Dino Rađja. And a foul's going to be on Mark Jackson. Excellent hustle on the part of Dino Rađja.
I thought Dino was going to be involved in our broadcast.
He was close.
You're going to see him right now. Keep after it, as they say, and it gets knocked away by Wesley. There's Dino. Good move by Rađja.
My next guest was inducted into the 2018 Basketball Hall of Fame. Please welcome former Celtic Dino Rađja. Dino, thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Thank you for having me.
Dino, let me ask you, when you're starting out, as a child, when do you start realizing, you know what, I could make this into a career. I could really do this for a long time when it comes to basketball. When did you start figuring that out?
Believe me or not, first time I really start seriously thinking about this might be my job. It was when we won our first European title in '89. Before that, it was all kind of just a game. I like to play to me, and it was fun.
Yeah.
But, really thinking about this could be my job. I could make something out of it, a career or money. That came to me really, alive when I won with my teammates first European title in '89.
Yeah, and let me ask you, so I have many actors on the show, I have many athletes, and many times their parents or close family members will urge them to get a quote-unquote job and not, depend on acting or athletics. Was your family or parents ever like that to you, Dino?
My mother never stepped her foot into the gym, and my father would enter the gym only with a ticket. We as a players have a couple of tickets for free always, and that's how my father went into the gym. My father never went into the VIP, never went into the office, never met anybody from the management or anything like that. So I was completely on my own.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. How popular is basketball in Croatia in the 80s, maybe late 70s? How popular is it?
It was pretty much popular. Back then, Yugoslavian national team, we had some success. They were, world champions, Olympic champions, and basketball was pretty much popular. But then my generation, we made it really worldwide, important and popular through the roof, because we did some amazing things that were unimaginable before, beating the Americans on several levels, and having really, one generation that is born in the same period. Unbelievable players like, Dražen Petrovic, Divac, Toni Kukoc. It was just unbelievable that we are all born at the same time.
Yeah, you stole some of my next question. My next question was going to be with those guys. You guys, for those listening, you guys were the pioneers, those European players that came into the NBA that have now made it such a easy transition for many of the not easy, but easier transition for many of the European players. Do you guys look at yourselves like pioneers? Do you realize how powerful your impact was as European players first coming over?
Definitely. You know, in the beginning, you don't think of it that way because, you practice, you play, you don't ask too many questions. Mm. But, when you look from this distance, what happened and how things develop in the world of basketball, you realize that we were the pioneers in many ways. First of all, 6'11", 7-foot guys who can shoot from outside and dribble the ball coast to coast, assist the way the guards are doing. We did that, and then we succeed in NBA in the way that NBA start thinking of foreign players, more of players who can do something, to be impact players, not just players who are not good enough. So on many levels, we were pioneers in NBA, and I'm really proud of being part of that group.
Yeah, and we're going to get to your wonderful Hall of Fame speech, but I love what you said about Jan Volk when he's, many people weren't taking European players seriously. He kind of was a little bit ahead of his time as well, right, Dino?
You have no idea how it sounds to me, his question. When we met first, he's GM of the most successful franchise in the history of NBA, and back then when I had a contact with them, it was Celtics and Lakers, and everybody else was not as important. And you have a guy from the Celtics come to you and ask you, "Do you want to come play for us?" And it was like a joke for me. I look around if somebody is taping me for a candid camera, but they were serious, and hands down to him, because he believed in what he saw probably on the court that day and on the tapes. And he had guts to bring me over when not many other people believe. The other guy was Don Nelson. He was another one who tried with the Europeans. And these guys are definitely pioneers in that way.
Yeah, that's well said. And we trying to put your story together for those listening. There's a contract dispute which many who follow the game know about. Jugoplastika, and they're with going back and forth with the Celtics. We know the situation. You're drafted in '89. You don't end up playing until '93. What was your mentality while this was taking place? Right, it went to court in Massachusetts, back and forth. How did you feel personally? What was your mentality at that point, Dino?
When somebody offer you invitation to play in NBA back then, it was poor to say dream come true. It was excitement like you cannot even imagine. And, of course, my team had their own plans, and they wanted me to stay back there and to play for them, and I understand them too. And we went to this court. The court first opinion was on their side, and I didn't want to go further in the fight with them. So I went back, and what happened after that was just I couldn't sign a contract immediately within a year by the NBA rules, and after I went back, basically I was without a contract. So after the year, we did have agreement that I'm going to be back, but the offer from the Italian team was, believe me, 10 times bigger. And when you are a kid and when you don't have anything, you have to think about your future. So I went a couple of years in Italy, but still, I made my way through. And could it be better coming immediately? You never know. maybe, definitely learn some more playing with Larry and Kevin. But,
yes,
never get answers. No.
Yeah, selfishly as a Celtics fan, I would have loved to see you with Bird, McHale, Johnson. But, there's no regrets in your career because it's so prolific. So let me ask you, finally joined the Celtics in 93, 2 weeks later. I mean, it's almost like every time you're about to get going, something happens. And obviously the tragedy with Len Bias, I mean, it affects Boston in general and people that love Reggie Lewis was just such an icon. Do you remember that time in your life clearly? 93, you're about to get going. Reggie passes, I think, like 2.5 weeks after you finally get there. So it's kind of like this, everything going on at once, right, Dino?
Yeah, it was it was very sad for me, but still it was much easier for me than for other people because I haven't really met him, and I haven't, he was just a newspaper person to me, and I can imagine how bad it was for the people who he played for or he played with for a number of years, and how much of the shock that was for me. It was opportunity to maybe fight for the championship or something like that, something much higher than we did without these two guys. But life is hard sometimes, and you have to accept things the way they are because you don't want to waste your energy on things that you cannot change. So unfortunately, those things you cannot do anything about. You can only work on yourself, on your team, on improvements, on games. But that's what I did. I tried to do my best. I really did everything in my power to not regret my eventual bad decisions. If you ask me today for a name of the one nightclub in Boston or a discotheque or a bar or something and give me a zillion of money, I have no idea because I never go out. I was on a mission in Boston. I practice, eat, sleep, practice, eat, sleep, play, eat, sleep, and that 4 years like that.
Yeah, and for those listening, you end up playing with Dee Brown, who you're very close to, Robert Parrish, Rick Fox. Let me ask you this: you've been a winner. You're European. Even your stats in the NBA were marvelous. Your stats in Europe are fantastic. You've been a winner all your life, and then you come to these Celtics teams that I don't want to say are rebuilding, but are not as good as they were. Not because of you by any means. Is that tough to be a winner of all those championships in Europe, all those accolades, and then come to the Celtics and kind of it's a bit of a struggle for those teams to win? Was that tough on you? Definitely.
That was the toughest thing for me, and that was basically the reason. One of the reasons that I went back because I was used to winning, and then all of a sudden you find yourself in a situation that looked pretty promising, and then with the death of Reggie, everything kind of went down to drain, and we fought for the playoffs for 3 years. Really down to the last few weeks of the season. 2 years we didn't make it. 1 year we did, but it was really, really hard to accept that. And then last year the situation developed in a completely different way, where it was obviously that we are looking in the future toward rebuilding and looking at Tim Duncan possibility, and I had a knee surgery. Then everything, fell down because of the change of management, the coaching stuff, and the story.
Yeah. Many people were not really thrilled with Rick Pitino for a lot of reasons, but I guess that's a story for a different time. Let me ask you, for 4 years as a Celtic, I feel like you're as beloved as many of the Celtics that played for 10 years or 15 years. I always feel like we talk Celtics basketball with people I know. I feel like your name is one of the first out of their mouths. I mean, it's amazing 4 years. But it's like, I feel like you've been a part of Celtics culture for forever. You're beloved by Celtics fans.
You know what? When I land in Boston, and I've been in Boston every year, but the last one because of this stupid virus. Every time I land in Boston, I have a smile on my face, and it's not something that you can, invent or now I'm going to smile. It's just because I love this city really, really very much, and now we are on the radio, so you can't see, but I have a goosebumps on my just because of we are talking about Boston.
Yeah.
I always play hard, regardless of the level I'm playing or against who am I playing. I always play hard, and every team I play for in my life, when I come back to the city, people appreciate me. And that's one thing that I always wanted. When I leave the city, I wanted to look the guy who is paying me in his eyes, not to look at down to the floor. And that was my goal always. And that's why I think, Boston, crowd is educated, basketball-wise crowd. They know, they've seen the best. They've seen, Havlicek, they've seen Bill Russell, they've seen Larry Bird, and they just know the basketball, and you can't fake them.
No.
So that's why I think that they appreciate me, and whenever I come to Boston, I have so many people come to me, welcoming me back, and what they're doing here. And I have so many friends there, and I'm still in contact with Jen Walk. He's like, second father to me, and I love him with all my heart. And there are many people in Boston. When I come, I always have lunch or dinner with Jeff Twist, with Jan, with Caroline, and I have Arnie Scheller. He came to Split a couple of years ago, doctor of the team, and I have great memories of Boston. I love Boston. Every time I come to Boston, I have many people come to me, welcoming me back, and I just feel great. I love the Charles River. I love walking around the Charles River. I love walking, in the Faneuil Hall, and I love Boston. When I see like last month with my wife, I'm watching the series Ellie McBeal, and they are showing the city of Boston all the time. They're showing the Prudential Building, and Prudential Building was like my lighthouse. I come from a little city of Split that is like 200,000 people. So imagine when you throw me in the huge city of Boston and you get lost in the car. So the Prudential Building was my lighthouse, because I knew where to go when I see Prudential Building.
Yeah, and it's a funny story, Dino. I was at Northeastern when you were with the Celtics, and I knew some people that were at Brandeis. Long story short, I saw you at, I think it was Brookstone in the mall. I said, "Hey, Dino, how are you?" And you were very kind back. You said, "Hey, how are you?" So I think that's part of your lore, is that you're so kind to the fans as well. So great things about you.
I understand that people are thrilled when they see you outside of the court like a normal person, and I always think that I am a normal person. I don't see myself as a basketball player. I am maybe a little better than other people in my sport, in my kind, but you are much better journalist than me. So
I don't know about I don't know about that, but
it's just I'm trying to be normal. That's my goal.
Yeah, and you like I mentioned, and for those listening, your European resume cannot be stated enough. It is marvelous. I mean, we talk about the playing against the Dream Team. Croatia gave them the best game by far. You bounced around a little bit. You went to Greece, to Italy, to Croatia. Does that wear on you, Dino? Like going to all those places, Is that difficult to? That's got to be a difficult life, right? 1 year in one country, 1 year in another. Is that taxing on you at all?
Basketball as a sport is very, very hard on your body. But living in different countries, I think it only enriches you because you learn different cultures, completely different way. If you compare fans in Greece and in the US, it's incomparable. This was happening lately in the playoffs. Somebody throw popcorns on a player or a bottle of water or something. In Greece, that's hello and goodbye. every day, the coins, the spitting, you don't pay attention to that. You don't even complain about that. In US, it's a national security matter immediately. You arrest people. If you arrest people here in Europe for that, I think half of the arena you could arrest immediately. So.
Oh yeah, I have some questions about modern basketball, but let me ask you, and I don't like to get political, but I feel like some of your, what you went through in your life does pertain to politics, especially the breakup of Yugoslavia in '92. How does that affect your life and friendships? And if that's a question you don't want to answer, Dino, that's okay too. But I feel like it's an important part of your life. Is that a fair statement? Oh,
definitely. It's something that one of those things that you cannot change. Unfortunately, what happened. The war is always a terrible thing to witness. And as much as I was not involved in it, you are hurt because you are on opposite sides with your friends, and you are forced, bombarded with wrong ideas, with the newspapers, with media, with the stuff, and you try to think on your own. You try to be in contact with everybody and judge situations on your own. And I can say I'm very proud of being in a contact with all my friends from Serbia, even today with Divac, with Đorđević, with Bosnian guys, Avdić, Alibegović, and stay friends with them through all these hard times because I knew they were not involved in this and they pretty much think the way I think. And even today, we just stay friends.
Now that's beautifully said. And again, like it doesn't. You're not the one who caused it, but it does affect your life. You brought up today's game, and I'm glad you did. So I've been watching. I did watch the Celtics play Brooklyn. I got to say, Dino, it's kind of deflating, right? Because you cannot get within three. You played the type of basketball. Like I'm not sure a lot of these guys in today's NBA would survive in the 80s and 90s. I think guys like Bill Laimbeer, you would make them very, very scared because you can't get within 3 feet of Kyrie, Harden, or Durant. I mean, we're not talking any type of close contact, and it's an automatic foul. I feel like that's ruining the game to some degree, Dino. And not only that, I feel like it inflates some players' worth. In other words, so if you're always going to the line, it adds to the stat sheet. It's not an accurate depiction of how the game would turn out. Yeah, Brooklyn's probably a better team, but my gosh, the fouls today, it's almost ruining the game, Dino.
My personal opinion, I agree with you completely because I think on several ways I agree with you. First of all, I think that these guys today would not survive. Lambeers, the Mahorns, Masons, Oakleys, Rodmans, these guys definitely. And they would have to adjust. They have talent, definitely, but they would have to adjust differently. And the numbers would be way, way, way down of the numbers there are today. And but I think, different era brings different things. NBA is... They did some research and did some marketing stuff. And these numbers, triple doubles, 145, 155 games are like playing an all-star game and people are buying it. And as long as they're buying it, they're going to be selling it. is this the basketball I played and I like? Definitely not as good as game where you have to fight this through. Imagine what the images what they did to Michael Jordan when he had to drive in the paint, and you can see today when Luka Doncic is dribbling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in the middle of the paint. Nobody's coming, nobody's touching him, and he scores a low, and then all of a sudden he's a superhero. He's a very talented guy. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to diminish his career or his importance to NBA, but back then I think he would still be a great player, but with different numbers and more bruises, definitely.
Yeah, and if that happened, Jordan's a great example. I mean, Jordan was absolutely abused his first couple of years, especially. I mean, certainly over his career. If you did half of what they did today, that would be a flagrant ejection. It would be game over. I mean, it just, and you bring up a great point. It is like watching an all-star game. When I watch the Brooklyn Nets, I don't see defense being played. Everyone's shooting from all sorts of there's no defense. It's just, you're right. It's like watching an all-star game in every playoff series. And I guess maybe people love that. To me, it takes away from the game a bit.
People definitely love that. And because, the rates are much higher, and but I think everybody who is really basketball mind, I think people don't enjoy it as much. I don't. I respect, really. I do respect what they do. You have to respect it.
Sure.
But different age, different rules, different how it's going to develop. We'll see.
Yeah. And thank you. Thank you for all this time. I have a few more questions for you. So we know that the Celtics are looking for a coach. A lot of names mentioned: Chauncey Billups, Juwan Howard, Rebecca Hammond, Kara Lawson. Do you think a female would run into roadblocks that a male coach would not? In other words, do you think an NBA team, I guess to make it simple, would give an opportunity for a female coach?
I think it's going to happen sooner or later.
Yeah.
But for me, it's hard to know because it's hard to judge because I don't know her.
Right.
I don't know. I know he was in San Antonio. I know she was working with probably one of the best coaches of all time. But still, too little information to be able to say she is right for the Celtics or not.
No, and that's a great point. But let me add to that as well. Whether it's a male or female, how important is playing experience to players? In other words, when you played for coaches, did it matter that they had playing experience, or was it just about how they treated you? How they
No. You have you have three kinds of authorities: authorities of knowledge, authority of work, and authority of power. If you try to use the power on the players and force them, then you will not succeed. If you use your knowledge and your work habits, then you pretty much have all the chances to succeed. And I believe, I'm shocked, by the way, that Danny Ainge is leaving and Coach Stevens is leaving the Celtics, because I think he was doing a great job. This last year was uncharacteristic, but you have to understand, with all this, virus situation, that everybody adjusted differently on the situation. So for me, it's a surprise that he got off the coaching job right now. But, whatever happened, whoever is going to be there, I'm always going to be a Celtic fan. And, what they say, once a Celtic, always a Celtic. So I follow the team. I only watch them. I don't even watch the playoffs, because this kind of basketball, I'm not a big fan of it. But, I watch Celtics, and it's just something that you cannot throw away from me.
Yeah, and before I want to end with your Hall of Fame speech, which I absolutely love. There was in the Celtics series, and I just thought of this. Kyrie Irving went over to the Celtics logo and kind of rubbed his foot on it. As a player, would that bother you? Because the next game, instead of the Celtics players getting mad, I'm not looking for somebody to get punched or hit or whatever, but they were all hugging Kyrie after the game, high fives. I don't know, if somebody disrespected your logo and said some comments, I don't know, like I feel like in the 80s and 90s, that would have been handled much, much differently.
Let me tell you one thing. He would never dare to stomp on Detroit logo in 1980s.
Yeah, that team might have handled it much differently. You're right.
Never.
Yeah. Yes.
Because I think next time he will enter the paint, somebody would be very unpleasant with him.
And Dino, the part that got me the most is after the last game, the players are going up to him, hugging him, high fives, hugs, and kisses, and all this. It's like, what are we doing here? I mean, yes, you can congratulate your opponent. That's a great thing. But yeah, I don't understand the reaction. It's very confusing to me, Dino.
Listen, there are no friends before the game. After the game, yes, we can congratulate each other. It's nice to accept the defeat. You have to be big and accept the defeat with whatever happened. But I really haven't seen that. I read about it, about Kyrie stopping on the Celtic logo, but I haven't really seen it because it makes me sick immediately thinking about it. You don't want to be distracted too much, with stuff outside of the court. And
and a much more
at the moment, when you think about stuff, you are thinking more clearly, definitely. But in the heat of the moment, I don't know how would I react. That's definitely something that it's unpredictable. Sure.
And speaking of something very positive here, it's about time your friend Tony Kukoc was elected to the Hall of Fame. It's long overdue. I want to talk about, give me your thoughts when you can on that, but I wanted to really talk about your wonderful speech. You were on stage with Larry Bird, very emotional moment in front of your beautiful family. How did you find out? How emotional was it for you?
It was unbelievable. I was at one event with in an arena in Split. I got called from Kim Bohuni, and she was telling me, "I have a wonderful news for you. I have a conference call. Please hold on until I connect you with Zoran Radovic from FIBA Europe." And Zoran is the guy, he's a friend of mine who I played together in the Yugoslavian national team, FIBA, and I thought, they did some changes in qualifications for World Championship, because what they did is make these qualifications during the season when you cannot have your best players. And that was terrible for our country, because our best players are, in NBA, and we play without our best players, and we suffer. We lost some unbelievable against some unbelievable weak opponents, and I thought maybe all of a sudden they came up to their senses and they will, change these qualifications to the time, summertime. And that's what I was really expecting. And so when Zoran answered the line from other side, they told me, "You've been inducted in the Hall of Fame." And I thought they're joking with me. And, Zoran is a jokester, but Kim is a serious lady. I know her for 30 years, and And then I start crying. When I realized that's the case, I started really crying, and I couldn't get serious. I left the arena immediately because I was very emotional, and my friends who were with me, they noticed that I'm not, concentrated, and that I have tears in my eyes, and they asked me like, what's happening? And I couldn't tell them because I had to stay put for a week because, announcement was just, next week. And then I left home, and I came home all in tears, and my wife told me, what happened? Who died? I said, I'm going to Hall of Fame. It's unbelievable. And then she started crying, and then it was wonderful, really wonderful. Very, very, very emotional.
Yeah, and you mentioned, your hometown split. It might be the best as far as sports go and achievements, the best in the world. Are any of your sons following in their dad's footsteps?
One of my sons played for University of Elon in North Carolina.
Wow.
But with this, virus situation, last year he didn't play anything. I mean, nobody played. So now he's back. He graduated. Now he's trying to get back in shape, trying to work his way through, and then try to start from some level here. We'll see what's he gonna do. My other kid was also playing basketball, and he loved it, but he had some really unfortunate injuries. He had like 4 stress fractures, one after another. And after that, he just was sick of being out of the practice. He was out like 3 out of 4 years. And he decided to go try maybe, coaching school to be a coach. And the little one, the 13-year-old, he's just crazy about soccer. So
yeah, he's got
and he's gonna be probably the tallest one, and he doesn't want to be a basketball player, and I absolutely don't want to force him.
Yeah, wherever the passion leads him,
I want him to be happy.
Yeah, my last question before I let you go is D. Brown had you got a chance to hang out with him in Croatia. I believe I'm reading this correctly. He said you picked him up in a 2-seater. Was it nice to see him in your home country? Was that a fun experience for you?
It was a great experience. I'm not a big fan of this social media. I think people are spending too much time on them. And then all of a sudden, you lose contact with people. It's been, 24 years since I left the Celtics. And on Instagram, I found him, I contacted him, and we had some, great time. And he said, oh, you know what, I'm coming, in a month or 2, I'm coming to Zagreb to work with Zubac a little bit. And I said, okay, I live in Zagreb now, so when you come, let me know. And it was great couple of days. I really enjoyed seeing him, talking to him about our times, and we decided to contact all other guys. Maybe after this situation is over, maybe we go, for a long weekend somewhere, I don't know, in Boston or in Vegas or somewhere to meet all together. It would be wonderful.
Well, speaking of wonderful, you're wonderful, and thank you for all this time. His name is Dino Radja. Dino, I wish you and your family nothing but success and happiness moving forward. I will send you a copy of the interview once it's done and edited.
Thank you very much for having me. I love talking to people from Boston, and I love you. I love Boston.
Yeah, you are greatly missed. You have to catch a game one of these days, because I know if your picture ever went on that Jumbotron, I know you'd get a standing ovation. I would bet my life on it.
Can't wait to get back, hopefully in September.
Have a wonderful night, and thank you for staying up late for me, because that's, there's a 6-hour difference, and it's almost 10 o'clock there. So thank you so much, Dino.
No problem.
Peace.
No problem.
Take care, my friend.
Okay, bye-bye.
Welcoming Dino to the Hall of Fame is Larry Bird. Ladies and gentlemen, Dino Radja.
It was much easier to play the game. Thank you, Larry, for doing this. You know, my gut feeling was Celtic from the first day, and you know what they say, once a Celtic, always a Celtic. When Kim and Zoran told me about the Hall of Fame thing, I couldn't stop crying for 10 days straight. And it was really hard, you know, to explain somebody bugging my eyes over and over. And I couldn't tell anybody for 1 week until the San Antonio announcement. And, you know, it was very hard to shut up. I told my wife, of course. I tell her everything. Shock for me was even bigger because I didn't know I was even in the ballot. I didn't know I was nominated at all. I didn't know anything. A group of guys that I play after end of my career did it on their own. They did the research. They called the NBA office. They did all the work. So thank you, Adriatic boys. Very much. I owe you one. Me being here today, you know, it's a feeling that I don't know, that word has not been invented yet. I was lucky to be born in a period of one great generation was born, great coaches work with me, Slavko Trninić, Božo Maljković, Duda Ivković, Svetislav Pešić, Krešo Ćosić, fellow Hall of Famer, Moka Slavnić, and my very important part, my strength and conditioning coach, Mirko Krolo, who I owe half of my career. Couple of great teams I played for, Bormir 87 team, Jugoplastika split team, ex-Yugoslavia national team, Croatian national team. And the group of guys I had to play with was amazing. The only guy that was member of all those four teams was Toni Kukoc, who I consider my basketball soulmate. I can play with him even today with my eyes closed. Another guy that I had the privilege to play with, Dražen Petrović, another Hall of Famer. He must be very happy now in a better place, and I learned a lot from him, basketball and the life wise. Stojko Vranković, who's here, Perasović, Komazec, Đorđević, Divac, Zdovc, Paspalj. Great players I play with in the same generation that ruled European and world basketball for a long time. They made me a better player. I want to thank them all. And without them, it wouldn't be me. I want to thank Celtics, Panathinaikos, Olympiakos, Rome, Zadar, all doctors, physiotherapists, cleaning ladies, equipment managers, all others involved in the life of basketball team. Dr. Tramfić, Dmitrović, Velimirović, Martinez, Arnie Scheller, Joža, Mosor, Grant, Wayne, Jeff, Carolyn, some of them are here now. Cvita, Stana, Eva, just few of them, but they are very important part of the family of one team. Wow. When I say family, they are the first one I want to thank because they suffer the most. I was never home. Even when I was home, you know, I was very basketball oriented, and I was very hard to live with. My mother must be dancing somewhere above us right now, happy for me, and my father is, you know, home battling, also happy for me. But my most important part is right here, my boys. Duje, Rocco and Nico. You know I'm hard on you very often. But it's for your own good. And my wife, my life soulmate, all of these people I say before, they made me a better player, but you made me a better man. Everybody knows that. Jan Volk, thank you for believing in me when no European players had no value here. Mark, thank you. You saved me many times. I learned a lot from you. Stojko. My older brother. I tell you everything on Fridays anyway. You know what I mean. Stjepko Roza, Etko, Željka, Željana. J-Lo, thank you for being here for me. Congratulations to 18 class. Thank you, Hall of Fame, for having me. Thank you for everybody who voted for me. And at the end, Josip, go Patriots.